Hello and welcome to Sunday's edition of Wardy's Waffle. You can see I've got the blackgrass welfare trailer behind me, but before we mention that and what's in this update, I just wanted to wish someone a happy birthday. Sue Bowser, I understand you're watching these videos religiously, and it was your birthday a couple of days ago, last Friday, so happy birthday to you. Anyway, this update, we're looking at blackgrass control. I'm not going to repeat what I saw at the went on in midweek because there's quite a lot of detail there. So if you want to look at that and you missed it on Wednesday, it's update to, actually it was Tuesday, it's update 266. So please just go back and look at that because I go into a bit of detail there about our blackgrass policy over the last few years, which I don't touch on in this update. So here we're looking at a few costs of blackgrass, finishing hand roguing it, but also tractor hoeing the sugar beet. We've got that done as well this week. So that's it for the intro. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoy this one and we'll see you at the end. I now have the file out the cars. The cars are just here. I'll just go in here. Just incidentally, that is an insulated water container, so they've got drinking water and water to wash the hands and things. So it's insulated for the hot weather to keep it cool. And I'll just go in here and just go through the costs with you. So this is a timesheet that we've made. We've got a sheet of these so we know exactly what date they're here, how many people, the names and everything. And this is where we keep a real accurate check on the hours they've worked for individual fields. I'll just move that across here. We've got farm maps as well in here. So this is where they are at the minute. Turn that right way up. So looking at the costs of this, 67 hours, if you multiply it by £17.22 an hour, that's what the agency charges us. It is quite a lot, but they do a good job and they get through it quickly. So when you look at it per acre, per hectare, it's okay. Now this first field's 13 hectares. It's cost us £1,153 in total to do that field, which works out at £83.75 a hectare, or £35.50 per acre. Now again, that might seem a lot, but bearing in mind that's not had any blackgrass herbicides apart from the cheap pre-emergence herbicide. And you can actually spend up to £250 a hectare if you were to rely completely on chemicals to try and control blackgrass. And then the level of success of that is probably maybe only 30 or 40%, bearing in mind what I said about the resistance to products and the amount of seeds that blackgrass generate. So over the course of the year, the actual growing cost, putting that towards the growing cost, is actually quite reasonable. And don't forget, this field here is our worst field we've got. All the rest of the fields on the farm will be a lot less than that. It's amazing when they get a big gang like 9 of them here. They soon get across some ground where there isn't much blackgrass. They're already halfway across this field. They've only been in here about 45 minutes. Anyway, just looking at this barley here, this wasn't drilled until probably, I think it was end of Feb, March. There's a little bit of brome there, sterile brome, that needs pulling, a little bit there. But the problem is there's one or two, a bit of blackgrass there, I need to get that. There we go. There's one or two wild oats in here you can see, but they're hardly out enough. You can just see there's one, but when you look there, you've a job to see them. Yeah, there is one just there. So they need to come out a bit more and stick above the crop a bit more. So I think this field needs waiting, or these barleys need waiting a week or so. Thought this was a useful shot to show you. You've got a lovely clean crop here. You've got a little bit of bare ground here for birds and wildlife to dry out in and get some sun. Then you've got a hedgerow full here where birds can nest, wildlife can go. So a brilliant show there. Hedge, vegetation, ground cover, bit of a gap, crop. There's a bit of a little patch here, so there's other lot of finish. They've got to the end of their run, so they're actually coming back up here now just to help and just get this bit done, but they're doing a good job. So Friday morning, just put the dogs in the back of the disco, and I've just noticed someone at the show yesterday wrote that. Obviously knew it was my truck, the Wheat Daddy, it said. That's my name on Twitter. Here we are, Frankie and Nala. Hello, girls. Should we go for a walk? Should we go for a walk, Nala? Yeah, good gal. So Tom's arrived from one of our local contractors to hoe the sugar beet, but he has to transport it on the main road on the back of the tractor. Then he'll drop it off and put it on the linkage on the front. So that's it on the front, and you have it on the front of the tractor because it's just easier to see. Because you do, it will be steering manually and not on GPS here, which doesn't make it easy. And if you steer wrong and happen to go in the wrong place, you don't just take one row up, you take 18 rows up and chop 18 rows. So that's how I fold those out like that to widen the width of it. And that makes your 18 rows. Because when you actually do this job, you always really need the same number of rows as the beet drill. Because occasionally you'll get areas just like this. That is the edge of the drill. There, that is the last row of one breed and the first row of the next one, so it will actually chop up probably the end of that row there, the last few rows, plants just there. But you always want to try and have the same width or same number of rows of the hoe as you have your drill. And you can see down there even, look, you can see that's the joining breed down there, because it wasn't on GPS on the headlands. You can see how it alters in width a bit. So we're just trying for a start. So we've got quite a few alterations I think maybe need to do as well. See there what it does, chops the weed up, just leaves it lying about. So with this hot weather coming, that'll die off. Just altering the depth of them a little bit, it's not quite deep enough. Just a case of turning that there, that screw there, and it will just mean it will go in the ground a little bit deeper. When you look back here on some of these, like here, just see that's only just scratched the surface, so it wants to be a little bit deeper if we can. Always goes around the outside of the field first. That's the inside breed, so you can see where to lift the hoe up and down, and you can see that's the last breed that our other contractor Ed did when he drilled the beet. He does 3 times round with 18 rows, and then you can just see there is a little bit of overlap, so those beet will be chopped up there that's in the row, which is fine. The other good thing with going across the row like this, you can just see the hoe moving a bit there. It actually level the soil out a bit from the drill, because if you remember, the drill did sink in a little bit because it was wet when we drilled it. You can see here's a wheeling here, so it will just level all those soils out and just make it a bit better. So that's before it's hoed there. And then this is after. In another week, these will all whizzing up, all the ones that's pulled up. It is very hard here though. Can't believe we had 15 millimetres of rain only last Saturday, and it's already settled as hard as this. There we are, you can see it fetch those up. You can see here. Another one there, which is fine. Just neatening it up. We'll show you this in another week's time and you'll see how all the rows are better defined then. Just driving down the lane to Ruben is just spraying Roundup on those patches in the wheat field that we had mapped, and there was water still on them, so there's no crop on them. So just driving past the barley, I'm really glad the fallowed land that we've got, which is about a third of the farm, we didn't put late drilled spring crops on, because this is one field that was drilled I think 15th 16th of April, and you can just see the effects of the wet, because it was wet underneath when we drilled it. Doesn't look very good at all, very uneven. In fact, the drains will show those stripes you can see in it. We'll have a look when we get this other side. It'll need to be above actually, but I'll see if I can walk in them and show them. But those green stripes you can see going from left to right at an angle, they're drains going into this dike. There's a ditch just there. This is one of our wildflower margins. Just see how great it is, because you've got all this grass down there. There's 6 metres, 7 metres actually from the edge of that wheat crop on the left to the dike, and then another 6-7 metres after the dike to the edge of this barley crop. So a real lovely wildlife corridor. So walking in this field of barley, you can just see a green line in front of me, and that, it's a job to see now, but there's a line from there across towards just the left of that church spire. That is a drain, so it will go down here at an angle and will come out near that footpath sign there. So it just shows how wet it's been between the drains. Here's something else that I just want to show you that's happened. So we've got this barley field here, sugar beet field here, beet looking all right down the row. It should have met in a row by now, but it hasn't because it was late planted. But the headlands here aren't looking very special. And when you look, and that's because we got some herbicide drift from that field across to this field. And when you look at the plants of beet there, not looking very good at all. And the wind got up halfway across the field, and you can see how it's twisted up the beet for up to probably half the tram line, which is 16 metres. But when you come to this part, look at these few plants here, how green they are just there, and that's because the grass there protected it, protected this little area here. So when you look down there, there's a little area here with no beet on. You can just see them there wizened up a little bit. Then when you get out here, it's fine. Healthy beet plants. Backward, yes, because of late drilling, as I've just said, but healthy. So that just shows what can happen with the wind. And it got up halfway across when Ruben was spraying that field, but we thought we were all right with the nozzles and everything, but it just shows you don't need an awful lot of drift with sugar beet. It's a very, very sensitive crop. So it's Friday lunchtime, so just coming to another one of our fields. You can see there's not a crop on the edge. We'll show you Ruben in a minute. I'll do some close-ups of the roundup, meaning the patches off that you just saw earlier on in this clip. I'm just going to move the blackgrass welfare trailer. I'm collecting the bucket up with the blackgrass in, and they should actually, the blackgrass pullers should get finished all our weeds today, which is fantastic really, and I'll go through the cost of those in a few minutes. It shows how wet it is still underneath. When you look at this stand has sunk, maybe ought to add a bigger piece on the bottom, to be honest, than what it's got. So it shows it's still wet underneath, and this is in an area you can see here that had water stood on it in the winter time. So fresh back from the show. This is how the boom opens out. Clever really to take it from about 3.5 metres, which goes down the road, to 32 metres to going in the field. So I've just got some blackgrass here to put in with a fork, because we're at the show the other day. They pulled this and have put it on the edge of the field just here, so I've got to just pick that up with the fork, put it in the bucket, make sure there's no seeds there, but they're not ripe, the seeds, at the minute, so that'll be fine just to take that out of the way. That's the welfare trailer moved to a new position, and this is the field that they're in at the minute. Probably one of our best fields of wheat actually. There's a little patch here that was stood water, but otherwise this is good. This was oats last year, so it is a first wheat. I mean, I'm pleased with the wheats that we have got in the ground. When you look here, nice big ears, clean ears as well. And nice and clean leaves, which is what we're looking for. I'm just going to have a look at these pullers here, because I think they must have got a little patch or something just... Sorry, let me stop walking. They must have got a little patch or something just here. So what there is here, there's a little patch of wild oats, and I think it's because it's just off the edge of the sprayer boom. And so that's why it's been missed. So the end of the spray boom when we're going around the outsides is about there. And then when we're going up and down, the end of the spray boom's there. So we need to alter the GPS lines in here. That's why there's a lot of wild oats just here, because it hasn't had the spray, because the whole field was treated for wild oats. So it shows they work. And then here. There we go, that's one. Just coming out. Then another one here. This is the trouble when there's a lot, if you're not careful, you tend to walk over them. Doing a good job there. Here. There we go. So just to see how the mapping and patches is working, we've got two bare patches there. Now whether the sprayer will switch on, yes, it's switched on the end there. And then there as well. That's switched, and that means these areas didn't get any inputs, that's it. So I'll go on the cab with Ruben now and just have a look from the cab. We've got some more patches at the other end of the field. So there's an area here that had water on it, so it should be mapped. There we go on the screen. So it should spray that area, there we go. So that is putting glyphosate or Roundup, that's it, that's stopped now. And then we've got some more along this headland, along the end here. There's the patches on the screen on the right, the light grey areas, which we're coming to now. So it's putting spray on there. And then there'll be a little bit behind the cab probably. Just on the immediate left you can just see it spraying. There we go. And that's all done automatically by GPS. So this is another field that they did while we were at the Lancashire show, and it's only about 5.5 hectares. So what's that, 12-13 acres, not a very big field, but this is the heat they got out of them, because there wasn't a bucket here, because the bucket was elsewhere, so they've tipped them out here. So I'm going to fault them into that bucket, but that will fill that. Just shows, when you look at that, how much they've pulled. So you've got the big green leafy ones of the wild oats, and then these are blackgrass plants. Just fantastic job. Just think of all that seed there that now is not going to be dropped in that soil. So that is reducing the seed bank year on year. So there we go, that's clean now down there. So I'll go and tip that in the wood with the rest of it, ready to leave it just to rot down. So I've got back to the farm with the bucket of weeds. There's mainly oats and oats and blackgrass. There might be a little bit of brome in there. And here is the pile in the trees here where we put them and just rot down. They're not near a field, and they just rot down year after year. There we go. All that hard work pulling them. At least they're not setting seed. It's fantastic doing it this way. Well, what I mean is they're not setting seed in the field. They can set seed and rot down there, which is fine. But I don't know how many of them would grow at this stage, but we always remove them just to make sure. This is the second field on the heavy ground, nearly finished. Just going around the outside now. You can just see each unit working up and down as it's going over the wheelings from where it was drilled, levelling it out. See there how it's levelling it out, especially here where it's quite deep, some of the rocks are. Still very wet. You can see that shiny, look at that. Still very wet underneath. see how much it's moved the soil. There's little weed it's chopped up. Another one there. And there. You can see how it brings them out. And so with the hot weather we're going to get this week, that'll die, that weed will. I'm in the office now, and I just thought it'd be interesting to show you the blackgrass control costs, where we used to be relying on chemicals against now where we rely on minimal chemicals but rely on hand pulling, or hand roguing as it's called, to get the level of control we have, which at the moment I don't think I've ever seen our fields so clean of blackgrass this year, where when you drive about the country it is a really bad year on a lot of farms for blackgrass control because of the wet winter that we've had. But it's worth remembering, and I just wanted to point out, that every farm is different and every farm has different priorities. For us here, the priority has been zero tolerance of blackgrass, so we will not tolerate any blackgrass whatsoever. The aim has always been to go to harvest with no blackgrass going through the combine. So that's our priority, and we are getting there after 11 years. Other farmers, their priority is to establish crops direct drilling, and that's what they have done, and they make it work. For us, we have tried that on this farm. We've got 8-year trial, but for us, we can't make it work. So that is where priorities differ between various farms. I just want to point that out. Another thing, the level of detail we go to record is quite high because of all this hand roguing costs go into our cost of production of producing a crop, because for us we're using this instead of chemicals. So it's so important to record every hours per field and put that into our cost of production. So I'll just show you how we do that. So this is another map. This is one of our contract farms. You can see we've got the date here, the number of hours in each field, and the same with these here when we put the date and the hours, and that is the total hours for the whole gang, not one person. You can see here each field, and this is just the fields of wheat that we've got. So just to finish off the blackgrass costings, altogether in this last week we've spent about £4,556 on hand roguing our blackgrass. Now the average cost has been £31.53 per hectare, or £12.76 per acre. So that's an average cost of all our fields, but that is sort of mass. The highest cost we've had is £91.57 per hectare, or £37 an acre, and the lowest cost we've had is £14.83 a hectare, or £6 an acre. So you can see the variances we have in that, and why it's so important to record the actual hours used in each field. We can then attribute that towards our cost of production calculations. So that's it for the end of this Sunday's edition of Wardy's Waffle. If anybody wants any talks for any farmer discussion groups or anything this coming winter, I'm happy to do that. You can see I've got 1 or 2 presentations for it. I do blackgrass presentations and talks on our experiences of 11 years of controlling blackgrass. So please come back to me with that. But anyway, that's it for this Sunday. Thanks ever so much for watching, and we'll see you midweek.